Well, good evening to everybody. Welcome back to the THT True Seekers Live podcast, man. I want to thank you so much for joining us, for still rocking with us wherever you're at right now. I just want to thank you for being here tonight, today. You didn't have to be here, but you decided to be here, and I'm really happy that you decided to be here. Listen, we want to once again go ahead and send condolences to the family of Kevin Samuels. We want to once again go ahead and send condolences to anybody that might have been affected by that tragedy, and by his death, right? Because we have to remember that as we talk about people online, even if we don't necessarily agree with their views, that we remember that offline they have real life families, and we remember that as we go forward in this new digital age of ours, and as we continue to have these conversations online, we remember the offline consequences and repercussions of them as well. So condolences to the family of Kevin Samuels and those people that are close to him. Having said that, we need to talk about a few things today. Before we talk about those things, of course, we got to get down to business the appropriate way. I want to thank you once again, and if you could come into the building and like the stream on your way in or dislike the stream, either way is okay. We're going to go ahead and get to the important parts first. It's National Shrimp Day, ladies and gentlemen. It is National Shrimp Day, and we are talking about the food. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's National Craft American Beer Week. I read that in this dyslexic mode, which is actually supposed to read National American Craft Beer Week. That's how it's supposed to be read and titled. There we go. National Mental Health Awareness Week. I feel like it should always be mental health awareness. National Salvation Army Week. Shout out to the Salvation Army for looking out for me a couple of times, more often than I'd like to admit there. National Clean Your Room Day, National Lipid Day, and it's also Bono's birthday and a few other different days that really honestly don't matter. But we do this for the OGs and the people that have been here for a good amount of time. Hey, listen, people are asking questions right now. Alpha Male Strategies is a YouTuber. You might have heard of him. You might not have heard of him. But he has a lot to say on this topic. I just rewound out of the video I was showing. He has a lot to say on this topic, and I want to show a video and a segment of him talking and really speaking on this entire Kevin Samuel situation and this entire ordeal that we're talking about. So keep in mind, as far as the case details and things of that going forward, we do know that it's been confirmed that it's a cardiac arrest. We do know that means pretty much it's been a heart attack. We do know that once was a young lady who was a nurse, and we've heard the 911 calls. Everything's been confirmed on that. And just to give you a little news update, though, ladies and gentlemen, Hortensia Alcantara, or however you pronounce her name, she's actually suing people. She's suing people if you mention anything in connection with the possibility of her purposely doing anything to harm Kevin. She is suing people. That was actually reported by Osajuk Jackson on his YouTube channel. She is suing people right now. She is suing YouTubers. But let's go to what I wanted to watch right here. And I'm just making sure I have the right timestamp because I got this gaming mouse, and on this gaming mouse they have multiple buttons on the side and the top of it. Well, it's a great thing until, of course, you're live streaming, and then you press one of those buttons and you lose what you were trying to actually watch to begin with. But it's a good thing I actually wrote the timestamp for myself. So we're gonna go ahead and watch that to get into this. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like the video. Actually, I'm gonna play it from right here and see if maybe I got it, and then if not, we'll continue. Also, I'll open up the Zoom in a bit. I know we got a lot to say right now. Let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand. All right.
Real ones, right? The OGs, the guys who understand and have a good grasp of what the guys that were at the top doing. You guys need to step up your grown man shit. When I came out this shit, bro, I've been pretty consistent in terms of my delivery.
I'm gonna actually check real quick just to make sure that I have the right timestamp, because I think I wrote it down, but let me just listen really quickly. You'll be able to actually hear it with me before I play this. I hate that I backed out of it, but you'll understand why I'm playing this in 1 second. Let's see, 3912. Let's check it out. I'm going to be able to hear it, but you'll be able to hear it with me. Here we go. Screenshot.
Beef and all this airing out and all this docs and shit.
No, that's not the right timestamp there. So it might be 2104. We're going to go ahead and play it from right there. Kind of sucks, but we'll listen for 1 second. We'll listen for 1 second. 1 second, y'all. I didn't want it to be like this, but we have to have it like this.
To step up, bro. All you OGs that are there before me, that I've looked up to, that I've studied, that I've tried to emulate and kind of make it my own. We need to step our grown man shit up, bro. Because like I said, there are only a handful of people who are at the top of the food chain as far as exposure, notoriety.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it. I'm just gonna explain to you what he said. All right, I'm just gonna explain to you what he said, and I'll try and find this clip at some point or another. But I'll break it down in the best way possible. He pretty much says who is gonna end up leading or becoming the next person. Right now, I know that this is already pretty offensive. To the family and things of that nature, because I mean Kevin hasn't even been buried yet at this point, if we're being completely honest, right? But the question is going around, and a lot of people are trying to have that discussion. Now, I want you to understand something that's fundamentally flawed about the concept of the manosphere, right? And that's the concept of the group of men that Kevin Samuels is really backed up by a lot of the time, right? Majoritively, they're backed up by the manosphere. But you need to understand that there's two different sides of the manosphere, and so this question of who's going to replace Kevin Samuels is an interesting question. Not because I don't think it's being asked in good favor, but I don't think that people really understand what they're asking when they're asking that. And so what do I mean by this? Well, I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you really quickly. The manosphere on one side fundamentally believes that you cannot, for whatever reason or for any reason, no matter the reason, get married to a woman, right? One side of the manosphere thoroughly believes that, right? Thoroughly believes that, right? And so I'll show you really quickly what I'm talking about. All right, so this is a cat right here named Alpha Male Strategies. All right, if you're not familiar with the manosphere, the video on his homepage right now is titled "Women Will Always Leave You." Okay, women will always leave you. Now, this is somebody who is a part of the manosphere. As a matter of fact, he is one of the originators of the manosphere. You see here, he has videos dating 4, 5, 6. I think he might have some that are even 7 years ago, right? How to get a woman obsessed with you, how to text the woman, this, and that. So his section of the manosphere is more like pickup game and things of that nature, right? But you got to understand that he's still manosphere nonetheless. Titles of his video: don't give women a lot of your energy, don't give women a dime, never live with a woman, women have always been trash, things every woman knows about men, setting boundaries, traits that make a man toxic. That's good. Look at that. He actually has a good video there, right? So that's in theory what his side believes, and he believes, once again, just titled by this video here, that you should never trust a woman. Right? Never trust a woman. So keep in mind that this side of the manosphere is a group of guys that believe that you shouldn't get in a relationship exclusively with women. Now, once again, we need to go ahead and talk about Kevin Samuels, okay? Kevin Samuels was a relationship, as told by him and defined by him. He was a relationship coach, and he was what I was under the assumption to be a marriage counselor of some sorts, right? So he's a relationship coach and a marriage counselor. Well, a good amount of these guys in these videos don't want relationships to begin with, right? They go against relationship because a good portion of the manosphere is against relationships. And so the first thing that really just jumps out to me as a severe level of cognitive dissonance is understanding that people like Coach Greg Adams, who preach about, his divorce and things of that nature happening, and him having over 100,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers cumulatively between all of his YouTube channels and things of that nature that preach against marriage. And he's even come out on his channel, right? He's even come out on his channel and said, hey, I don't believe in marriage. Listen to this clip right here. I believe we have this at the right time frame, so forgive me, y'all. This is a one-man show here, but the more equipment we get, the easier these things get. So check this out.
Listen, we're not perfect, but I ain't trying to save none of y'all. All right, listen, look, I'm telling y'all to evacuate immediately. Right?
Now, when he says I'm not trying to save any of y'all, people are like, why do you keep interrupting? I'm sorry. When he says I'm not trying to save any of y'all, he means that he's not trying to save black women in this case. This is what Coach Greg Adams means, okay? So I need you to understand that.
Get the hell up out of there, bro. But his message seemed to be centered around men, because he was the head of the professional approach. Men who were hope strategists, unfortunately. And
hope strategist. Do you know what hope strategist is key for? Remember when we talked about the red pill, blue pill terminology? Obviously, you probably already know that already, right? Hope strategist is somebody who's a blue-pilled man, right? And so a hope strategist essentially would be somebody like Kevin Samuels, somebody who preaches that, hey, you need to for women, do this, and that, and guys, hey, be the best man you can be, yada, 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 so you can get a woman, even though he didn't say that much, to be quite frank with you. We're just going to go ahead and roll with it, right? That he was hoping that women would be better for the community and men would be better and as leaders that the women would end up following, right? That was Kevin Samuels' ultimate dream and desire. So it's actually been heard or told from Dennis Sperling, right? Dennis Sperling is a close friend of Kevin Samuels who's kind of keeping things up with the memorial service. He's actually in contact with his mom, right? Direct contact with his mom. He has videos of him hanging out with Kevin behind the scenes and all these different types of things and conversations, right? And so his description or his depiction of Kevin was somebody somebody that genuinely wanted to help the black community. So let's go back to this manosphere thing, okay? The manosphere, a good portion of them have checked out, right? Just like Coach Greg Adams said.
I got to call this out. And so while he did bring more people in, he had a palpable message. You know, the message was more palpable with his delivery. And then people could say he later embraced trying to get married. I don't know. Or he put marriages together. I think a lot of hope strategists found hope in Kevin. All right. And so for better or for worse, in my message, I'm not about hope. All right.
So I need you to understand very clearly that the same people, and just in case you don't believe me, I'll go to the comments right now, right? The same people that are claiming, you know, that somebody needs to be found for Kevin are listening to Coach Greg Adams, who doesn't believe in relationships at all. They're commenting, for instance, Will86 commented here, Kevin Samuels lit the torch. It's up to us to keep the fire burning and carry the torch forward. Rest in power. Rest in peace, legend. Given the Red Bull addiction, this was a great stream and a wonderful tribute. Rest in peace, coward. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. Kevin Samuels, I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't not mean to say that. I was trying. It says rest in power, so I mixed up the words because Kevin starts with a K. So listen, I'm not on that. You know that I don't talk about, you know, people that are gone like that, right? There's definitely a limit. So, rest in power, Kevin Samuels. Still can't believe you're gone, brother. The message will carry on, right? I disconnected from the Matrix a few days ago. Black men, if you aren't paying attention to this, you're a fool. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. So the response on Coach Greg Adams' own YouTube page for the support of Kevin Samuels just goes to show you essentially how much support he had, even though the messages at their very core are fundamentally completely different. Kevin Samuels believed in marriage. Coach Greg Adams believes in not getting married and going against Kevin Samuels. As a matter of fact, Coach Greg Adams even mentions in this same live stream here that Kim and Kevin Samuels used to throw little sneak disses back at each other. And I don't know if he talks about it exactly right now, but let's go ahead and keep on listening. Maybe he does.
I'm definitely about nope over there.
Nope.
All right. Do your best to dodge the target. Do not try to tackle the target. Do not try to walk hand in hand with the target. And this is not women. I'm talking about the marital industrial complex. I'm talking about the public school indoctrination camp. I'm talking about the same mindset that got you in the problems that you got in yesterday. Okay. But a lot of times people, because they weren't hardcore red pill, they weren't hardcore manosphere people. They were people who just were regular normies or ham and eggers or knuckle draggers or whatever you want to call them. These men found hope in his message. Now, this is where, for better or for worse, I can't really call it. Okay. I can't really call it.
So that's pretty much how a large portion of, well, some of the manosphere feels. But once again, you have to understand that this is why the cognitive dissonance and the explanation of guys trying to explain away why they love Kevin Samuels, holding women accountable and all this other different types of stuff is BS for a large portion or for a large matter. Because if you're supporting Coach Greg Adams, who doesn't believe in sustainable relationships, he doesn't believe in getting married. He believes that the court system is out to get men and out against men. He believes in so many injustices that have happened, and he talks about it. And hey, he has personal experiences with it. I get that. He has his personal experiences. I have my personal, message, and we all believe what we believe. But I'm saying that it's a fundamental contradiction or a conflict of interest for, on one side, you to be trying to hold women accountable for the marriages that on the other side of the manosphere you're profoundly trying to avoid. That doesn't make any sense. Either you want to get married as a collective or as the manospheric group, or you want to get married under that title, or you want to follow and go your own way and truly be a red pill or a MGTOW or a manosphere type of guy, which is originally what the manosphere started as, right? But at this point, the manosphere and the red pill has simply become, once again, blood sport and bashing women online and trying to bring the emotional state of women down to where men's emotional state is. PTE said this in a video, and this was absolutely fascinating. That wasn't my original thought right there. PTE said that. Permission to exist, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and put her YouTube channel in the chat. That's what the manosphere has become about. That's what Kevin Samuels' show has, for the most part, become about. Let me go ahead and put her name one more time in the chat. That's what her show has become about for the most part. 1 second, y'all. Hold up. One second. Okay, this is her channel right here. Right? So, screenshot this. PTE, permission to exist. She said that I thought it was an excellent, excellent explanation. That's exactly what it is on one side of the fence, right? So once again, we're gonna go ahead and take the manosphere, or what the guys actually say. We're going to take it for what they say, right? Which is that Kevin did this, and Kevin did that. When we already know, we've seen multiple times online that in reality, it was a lot different how those live streams played out. It was a lot more vicious, and it was a lot more embarrassing and humiliating for the women that decided to take part in trying to become the better person, or maybe just trying to challenge Kevin on his ideologies or whatever it might be. But the overall reason for that was given brilliantly, once again, by PTE in this case. And she said it's because that a lot of guys have been going through the dating complex and through the dating situations and having a hard time, which is why Kevin was talking to these women to begin with, right? So we need to understand that fundamentally at the core concept of the manosphere, we have an issue or conflict of interest with whether or not women are worth chasing to begin with. But if we are going to assume that because Kevin Samuels was more popular, more guys do want to be in sustainable relationships, we'll have to flow with that type of, of thought and pattern, which in which case begets the next question: why was Kevin Samuels so popular in this particular instance? And this is the reason or the explanation. It's because a lot of guys have been going through it horribly with women, which is why Kevin was trying to talk to the women to try and get women to lower back down their standards publicly on a public level, to try and change essentially the dating, I guess, scene in Western civilization within the black community, or within Western civilized dating period, right? That's what a lot of people look to Kevin or the Godfather as. He was their hope, just like Coach Greg Adams just said a few seconds ago. He was their hope figure, right? Or he talks about the hope, what was he called? The hope concept or the hope message or something like that. In which case he says, I don't have any hope at this point. There is no hope for me. It is what it is. I believe that, get married is a terrible idea. To be with a woman is a horrible idea. It's always going to go bad for you. For the most part, it's going to go bad for you. And that's where Kevin and I differed, right? That's where Kevin and I differed. So a lot of guys saw the hope in Kevin, right? They saw the hope in Kevin because Kevin was able to, once again, do and say things that he could not or they could not do, right? This is something that was actually admitted by the first video, or the guy in the first video that we just got done watching. And I just remembered what he ended up saying. So we're not going to be able to find the clip. But what he ended up saying was that the reason why Kevin Samuels needs to be replaced, and that's the alpha villains guy, right? The reason that Kevin Samuels needs to be replaced is because he was able to get to women and speak to women on a mass scale to where a lot of guys couldn't, right? A lot of guys couldn't connect with the women because they were either the women were so disillusioned, or because they were so this, or because they were so that. And so Kevin Samuels was able to break the mold. But what was interesting about the concept was that he admitted that he was a possibly homosexual man, and this and that. And so I thought that it was still very interesting that he, as a content creator, decided to place importance on that factor, or importance on that note, as to somewhat almost exclude him from having the possibility to have a conversation or to get women to see from his point of view. Somehow Kevin had just, I guess, this mysticism or this mystic trait or capability. And obviously Kevin was a talented guy, right? He was very good with his words, and he was very stylized and things of that nature. A lot of people had a lot of respect for the way that he conveyed messages and thought patterns and things of that nature, right? And things like that. So I know, I understand and recognize the talent there, but it seemed to be like a lot of guys almost feel like there is there won't be a replacement, or there can't be a replacement, but they're searching frantically for a replacement. And so my next question is this now. At which point do you recognize the message that you've been given and decide to then take that message and then go forward and live with your life, or go forward and live with, now obviously I'm asking somewhat of a gaslighting rhetorical question, because as a content creator myself, it could be argued that some of the content that I make can be a bit repetitive, or it could be the same thing that I spill over and over and over. I try and keep it fresh, and I try and make sure that that's not the case. But some people could say that, hey, you know what, Truth, what are you talking about? Because, you've been saying the same stuff for forever right now, right? So, hey, if that's the case and that's what you feel, then I understand that. But at what point do you hear the message and then as a person or as a consumer of the content say, you know what, I think I understand now, and hey, maybe I could be the next content creator myself. Maybe I could be the one to go ahead and go forward and start to make messages on what I feel or I personally believe. But I think the problem that I see when I type this and when I start seeing videos like, oh, who's going to replace Kevin? Who's going to replace Kevin? Who's going to replace Kevin? Is that it shows that a lot of guys aren't able to take the mantle up and just run for themselves, right? Why are you automatically seeking somebody to replace Kevin? Kevin's not even he just passed, right? He just passed. But already we're seeking so viscerally, right? Just like Osei Duke Jackson had right here, we're seeking so viscerally for somebody to carry the torch after Kevin. Like, God, we got to keep this, we got to keep the bashing going. We got to keep this, we got to keep holding the women accountable online. We got to keep this and we got to keep that. In reality, there wasn't that much to the message of Kevin, but I think that it was good because, or I think that it was good for a lot of guys, not good, but I think it was good for a lot of guys because they saw the women once again calling into the show. A lot of the women that they really couldn't date, had a hard time dating, claimed that we're going after the bad boys. And so this perpetual revolving door of content that showed women after woman after woman after woman, getting torched quite, essentially in some cases online, has stopped revolving at this point, right? And it's kind of like the supermarket, where you've gotten so used to shopping at the supermarket that you're not as good of a cook as you used to be, and things of that nature. Like, once life becomes easier for us and we get more amenities, we do lose our edge as a people, right? And that's kind of the natural way that things go, right? As hard times make good men make good times make bad men make bad times, right? And then the cycle kind of repeats itself. And that's kind of the same way here. I think a lot of people just got comfortable with seeing this or being happy with this being the experience of dating in 2022. Dating in 2022 for a lot of guys literally became come home, cut on Kevin Samuels, watch some stuff, hit a couple of girls up, go to the gym, and come back home, watch some more Kevin Samuels, rinse, wash, and repeat. And then probably once every few months or so, you might get lucky, go out on a date, and then once every 4 or 5 months, you probably strike out with one of the girls, right? And then it's kind of been that perpetual way since 2020 for a lot of these guys now, right? And so now that door has kind of stopped revolving, things are right back to where they used to be. Where in reality, as popular as Kevin was, there isn't that much effect, as we said in the live stream, on dating, or at least current dating in Western society. It's not going to change that much. Not that many eyes have been open to the revelations of marriage, and not that many people feel like they're going to be missing out on marriage. And we already know that because half of the manosphere, or X amount of the manosphere, preach about not getting married to begin with, which is why we're talking about this right now, right? So I have some notes. I want to say some things, and then I'll get to opening lines, and we'll get to everything like that. So. Let me just read a couple things. Hang on. Make sure we like the video, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all being here. I also want to say this really quickly. A lot of people are saying that, and we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to just kind of recover this again. People are saying, and I don't think this is the case at all, but people are saying that, hey, Kevin was getting popular. He was starting to go get the establishment, this, and that. And so, this lady, took him out, blah, blah, blah. That's what people are saying. Allegedly and, truthfully, you can look it up on YouTube that people are making videos on that. We're not saying that here. I definitely don't think that that's what happened, but I just want to go ahead and assess based off of that level or train of thought once again, the fallacies that in this case, or in that case, it would give off, right? It would be that if she did, I wish she didn't, but if she did take him out or do something bad to Kevin, right? She would have been a preferential type of woman that would have done that. It wouldn't have been a black woman that took Kevin out, right? So as much or as bad or as crazy as much y'all like to bash, or as much as the bashing goes, and trust me, once again, I said in the last live stream, I understand, and not all are angels, because they're definitely not. So as much as you like to say that, if we're using some of y'all's tinfoil hat trains of thoughts, it wasn't a black woman that was responsible, or that would be in your train of thought, as ludicrous as that would be, responsible for taking for that act. Okay, she would have been a Latina, right? So I just want to say that. People are saying it was the elites. Some people are saying it was the elites that killed Seven. Some people are saying it was the elites that killed Kevin. I don't know if any elites, who are the elites, right? I don't know if any elites would feel that strongly. Coach Greg Adams does feel really strongly that somebody took him out. Other people do feel really strongly. You can Google this right now, as a matter of fact. I know I was on GMT stream, Grandmaster Troll stream. Who killed? Or did somebody kill? Did someone kill? I think I Googled this. Kevin. So I Googled this, right? Did somebody kill? And there are videos, running rampant like this right now. Videos running rampant like this. And these are guys of all races, right? Kevin Samuels' death was not a heart attack. He was murdered. This looks like an Asian guy here. Let's check out and see what he's saying.
You were not born high value. You make yourself high value. You make yourself the man.
I'm trying not to play the audio, but hopefully this audio is good.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been confirmed that Mr. Kevin Samuels has been laid to rest and is no longer with us. When you think of Mr. Kevin Samuels, he is the Michael Jeffrey Jordan of basketball. When you think of Mr. Kevin Samuels, he is the Muhammad Ali of boxing. When you think of Mr. Kevin Samuels.
So this stuff is pretty much like borderline troll, but I'm sure some people honestly do believe this, right? But that's the name of the title of the video right there. He was murdered. And once again, if we just do a quick little YouTube search, a lot of people believe that. Did Atlanta kill Kevin Samuels? Why the black community turned? What really happened to Kevin Samuels? Kevin Samuels was not killed by witches. An investigation into Kevin Samuels' death. The sad truth behind, Kevin Samuels died and was broke. So what killed Kevin? Yeah. So it's a crazy rabbit trail, tinfoil hat concept right there. But people are thinking that. Some people do think that. And so I wanted to address that really quickly. Okay. One of the biggest problems with Kevin's teachings is this, okay? One of the biggest problems with Kevin's teachings is this. This is what I take a big issue with. It's based off of the entire code of the fact or the undeniable possibility that all men must be at their core moral people, right? With good character or good compass, right? Once again, this is cognitive dissonance by assuming that all men or that the guys who are watching, or most of the guys who watched Kevin, were good guys, right? We don't know what kind of guys that they were, okay? But on a public level, it was somehow subtly made to be, or made out to seem like they were, decent, well-to-do, or supposed to be, or worthy to be followed, or worthy to be submitted to, guys. We don't know who these people are on the internet. These are numbers or avatars on a computer screen or behind a computer screen right now, right? We don't know who these people are. But once again, it was beholden on women, or whatever the word is, to come onto the platform of Kevin's and to make sure that they submitted to the platform as well to the people in the chat who might have been spewing all kinds of different types of abuse, right? Even if the video was a woman that was supporting Kevin, she probably would have gone through abuse. I have a video showing you that in a while, which is crazy. She's on Kevin's channel saying, "Hey, I support you, Kevin. You're awesome. You're awesome." And in the chat, they're calling her Big Shirley and roasting her. It's like, well, Jesus. So that's rough, man. Kevin was thankful for her being on the platform, so it's good, But now let me go back to this. In the manosphere, there are guys who are red pill and blue pill. We already talked about that. Majority of guys will listen to Kevin and know about the terminology of the red pill. The red pill is when the guy wakes up and realizes that I don't want to get married or have a family. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Things are messed up in the dating scene, yada, 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 right? Then you have the blue pill group, which are the guys who believe in marriage, yada, 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 right? So the biggest problem already, it assumes that guys are good guys, or guys are good people, or men are good people, or that they're a good moral compass. And I know that women are, obviously aren't, by and large, probably you could argue they're not good people either. But I'm just saying that from that point of view, or from Kevin's platform point of view, that's what it looked like, right? But then the second problem is that not even everybody agrees on what the decision of a relationship should be to begin with, right? So essentially you had a group of guys, and like we said before earlier, I'm just trying to get through my notes before I get to my next set, so I don't miss anything, because I usually talk without my notes, but I'm trying to get to my notes today. So we have less people watching too, so I'm going to try and actually structure this and, read properly instead of going off the handle. Meaning the red pill guys that feel... The red pill guys that feel like the blue pill guys that are stupid and lost because they refuse to acknowledge women's true nature are pretty much the guys that Kevin Samuels was telling women to go after, as those guys watched and encouraged Kevin Samuels. Does that make any sense? So this is why it's kind of a hard conversation to have of like, okay, who's going to continue to keep this thing going? And this is why it's not honest. This is why it's very disingenuous or disingenuine when people are saying, oh, well, Kevin actually was really about, about making us better. Well, y'all don't agree on what making a man quote unquote better is, because a lot of y'all are claiming that when a man does get into a relationship that he's a simp, that he's in for immediate or unavoidable doom, because eventually she's going to leave him. Like Alpha Male Strategy said, all women are evil on his YouTube page, on his homepage. All women are the same, or whatever the thing was, right? All women will leave you, whatever the name of that video was, right? And so at its core, it's like such a backwards concept of them all being able to rally together behind this online destruction of women. But when we start to dig a bit deeper, it's like y'all don't even agree with each other, though, because you think that marriage is bad. You think that Russell Wilson is bad. Russell Simmons, jeez. Russell Wilson is bad. But I mean, essentially, Russell Wilson is the same type of guy that Kevin Samuels was trying to teach women how to get. You understand what I mean? So what are we asking with this question when we say who's going to replace Kevin? Kevin was preaching about marriage. A lot of y'all don't want to get married. A lot of guys don't want to get married right now. The main message of the manosphere is to not get married. Most conversations that happen in the manosphere, in the realm of guys that talk with Kevin, preach about not getting married. They don't preach about getting married and having successful marriages. These are two different, completely fundamentally different conversations that are being had in the manosphere, within the manosphere. Right? So we need to put that to Front Street too. Everything that Kevin was representing was not what those guys represent. All they wanted to do was tune in and watch black women get destroyed online, essentially. Whether or not you think Kevin had a good heart or meant to do things the right way, it can be argued, because a lot of women say that they got something out of that. Who am I to tell them, or who am I to tell you? And this is, by the way, I just washed my hair, so my sweater looks like it's wet. But who am I to tell them, that, hey, he was wrong for doing that? If she says that she learned something, if he had personal relations and good connections with people in real life, then who am I to say, right? Who am I to say? Now, we already know, based off of the last live stream, that Kevin knew that this was a business, that Kevin knew that there was money in bashing women online, by and large. Really, ultimately, no matter what your race is, it just so happens that we have a head start on bashing women through rap music and things of that nature. And so there was this great explosion for Kevin Samuels and within the manosphere and the black community and amongst black men, because the red pill message of kind of, all women are trash and bees and hoes has been preached since the 80s, right? If you're a channel member, you already know this for a while. But women have been hearing that. Guys have been rapping about F women and FB words. Black men have been rapping about that since forever now. And I understand that there are civilizations that have been horrible, that were white and Caucasian to their women too. Right? I completely get that. We're speaking about 2022 right now, and we're just explaining why Kevin was able to take off and why some of the things that people are wondering in regards to Kevin and what's going to go on in the future in this space are maybe just a bit off-kiltered, in my opinion, just based off of my observances. We have two completely different belief systems right now. You have Kevin's, which believes in, as Coach Greg Adams said, the hope strategy. But then you have a lot of guys to the tune of millions that are saying, I'll never get married again. It doesn't matter. So once again, that lets me know that they're only tuning in to Kevin to watch women get destroyed online. Because if you don't believe in marriage and Kevin preaches about marriage, but you support Kevin Samuels, you're not supporting Kevin Samuels talking about marriage, because you don't believe in that. So what else is there ultimately to support? Kevin's not talking, he wasn't talking about financials and building businesses and building better schools. Kevin wasn't talking about real estate. He wasn't a real estate channel. He talked about fashion, and he talked about marriage and how women could get into a better chance to have a high value or a husband, period, for the most part, even though most of them are going to die alone. Okay? So you can accept it, you cannot accept it, but that's the case of the matter there. You simply want somebody to continue to bash women, right? In a way that you hadn't, in a way that a lot of guys didn't have the ability to do. You simply want to see women's level of confidence be brought back down to yours, because we know that women are the ones that are out here dating. We know that women are the ones that are out here that have the ability to simply take pictures of their body and make a living if they want to. We know that women have the opportunities to do and move different ways in society that a lot of guys are quite frankly jealous of. I'm not saying whether that's wrong or whether or not they have merit. I'm not explaining any of that. I'm just simply saying the fact of the matter is that it seems like there's a lot of jealousy for a lot of women, and those are made evident by statements like, oh, women live life on recruit or easy mode. This is a term that was actually popularized by teenagers recently through TikTok and through Instagram and other different terms like that, where recruit mode and easy mode is on the easier difficulties when you start to begin a game or a video game campaign. When you start it on recruit mode, it's the easiest difficulty, and the video game is very easy, and you kind of breeze right through it. Well, a lot of guys feel like women have life on recruit mode, and a lot of those guys are the guys that follow Kevin Samuels as well. But just like we saw in the last live stream, Kevin didn't feel the need to continuously go back and forth with, at least past the length of 2 or 3 years of which he already tried to do, trying to get guys to understand how to become a better guy. And here's the kicker. This is the last part, or this is one of the last parts of why Kevin Samuels' message or why the question who's going to replace Kevin is fundamentally flawed, right? Kevin Samuels was a guy that came up on YouTube extremely quickly once he realized and just gave into the reality that, you'll get numbers by doing this way, this will go this way, and hey, you can set the internet ablaze by saying these different things. To be honest, in a matter of probably 6 months, Kevin Samuels' financial life and actual real life off of YouTube was so drastically different that most people are never going to be able to experience that insanity of, as far as like the change of wealth, other than winning like a lottery ticket or something like that, right? But to build wealth that quickly, you can only do that on gambling or like YouTube, and then getting very, 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 very lucky with being born in the right time, in the right day and age, and you understanding how to do things the right way, and how to put yourself in the right position. So with all props to Kevin, he was very skilled and very observant with recognizing and counting or measuring the temperature of the room. He was able to see that a lot of guys didn't have that much confidence. He was able to see that a lot of guys were having severe issues with women. He was in the manosphere for plenty of years. He had already done plenty of live streams with Angry Man and with a lot of the guys like Cerulean and a lot of other guys like Dennis Sperling, who had been in the manosphere for almost a decade at this point. He knows more about the manosphere than all of us probably watching right now. Why? Because he started off with those guys. He started off trying to get the guys to become better versions. But you know what? He said, you know what? Instead of trying to get the guys to become the better version, I'm going to go ahead and just get my riches, and I'll just become the better version for myself. And hey, I could be doing them a favor too, because you know what? Since they don't want to become the better versions of themselves by and large, or since they don't want to become or buy the better cologne or wear the better clothing or take better personal care of their appearance or whatever it might be, I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll still be doing them a favor, because what do they want at the end of the day? I recognize that they just simply want to watch women get berated to some extent or held accountable online, and that's exactly what he ended up doing. And he did it, as a lot of the guys said, very well, unlike anybody else could do, is what Alpha Villains actually said. I can't find that clip for you, but that's what he said. He said Kevin Samuels was able to do this unlike anybody else could do. I'll try and find it one more time, see if we can play it. It was a good part of the clip. I hate that I can't find it, but...
Or you got to talk in colors and fucking shapes so the kid can understand. So I see that are a little bit older than that. Where are they going to go now? Who's going to be their leader now? Who are women going to turn to? Who are men going to turn to now? Who are men going to turn to? There's a lot of people riding coattails, bro. A lot of people. And I get it. It's the hustle, right? Riding the coattails and shit. There's content creators that break down videos of other content creators. Okay.
So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it, but I'm gonna try one more time. Usually I'm pretty good with time skips. I've been getting lucky, but
She's the Fresh and Fit podcast girl, so go on there.
Nah, I'm not gonna be able to find it, dude. Man, it was a good clip, man. I cannot find it, but hey, y'all can check them out right there if you want. I wouldn't be too upset. I wouldn't be too upset, Alpha Villains, of people sharing your stuff, man, because sometimes it could be people that don't like you, but it could end up helping. But those are things that you learn being a content creator, you know, that you kind of do or whatnot. Like if people share your stuff or end up doing content on you, for instance, people tag me and, you know, they'll tag my videos and they'll do content, you know, and say, oh, truth exposed, or hey, truth is, you know, pandering or whatever. And I don't mind. It's going to bring you more exposure, bring you more attention, publicity, whether good or bad. As long as you are able to understand how to turn it into a good publicity type of deal, then there you go. But yeah, he ended up saying that there was nobody else that could do what Kevin was doing at the time. And the irony behind this is that Kevin ended up becoming essentially the high value man that all the girls that would talk to, you know, them would end up chasing, right? So what do I mean by this? Men ended up paying Kevin Samuels, and thank you for the $10 super chat. I see your $10 super chat. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Brown Bunny 04 says, energy is real, and you have to be careful about what you put out. Unfortunately, a lot of people will miss the lesson in all this. Absolutely. Absolutely, Brown Bunny. With the 04 with the $10 super chat, I appreciate your support there. So let me break this down for you, right? Kevin Samuels became the man that the women end up chasing after, right? Which is essentially what the message should be to begin with. The message should be, or should have always been, to be the better man. But once again, like Kevin said earlier, we tried that and it simply did not work. So if it doesn't work, Kevin decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and level up, get my cash up, and do this thing for myself. Hey, y'all, we can do some good things on the way, and that's that. That's just the way it is. We tried, no more. We're not going to be trying anymore, right? So he became the high-value guy. Guys paid and paid and paid and paid and paid and paid and paid. I don't know how many guys have had progress in their life. I don't know if guys have done that much better, but within the years that they've started watching Kevin, I don't know how long they've been watching Kevin. I don't know if they gotten anything other than, you know, how to dismantle a woman appropriately and get her to follow you or get her to be accountable. I'm not sure offline if any guys have made as much progress as well, obviously as Kevin did, but in their real life as they, you know, felt like they did online, right? As they felt like they were getting from watching Kevin Samuels, as they felt like women as a whole were collectively, progressing, in a better mindset by watching Kevin Samuels. I feel like the reward for what a lot of the guys got by essentially making Kevin Samuels a millionaire ultimately wasn't a reward that's going to be felt by them other than to, look for somebody else now to fulfill the gratification. Why? Because the message of Kevin Samuels wasn't that of becoming better as a man. It was simply for women to lower their standards. So if you're looking for somebody to continue that message of women needing to lower your standards, that lets me know that Kevin Samuels' message of lowering your standards still has severe importance, which lets me know that a lot of y'all still have not risen your own standards because you haven't become the guy that you're essentially complaining that women are going after, which is why you still feel the need for Kevin Samuels to have which is why you still feel the need for somebody to replace Kevin Samuels, right? Instead of, I'll just give you a secret here, right? And we've said this a million times. Winners win, right? And so instead of trying to get women to lower her standards, I'll give you a secret as a man, guys. Instead of trying to get women to lower her standards and be accountable for her situation and be accountable for her going to die alone and be accountable for the reality of just how messed up this or X or Y is, instead of trying to do that, it's a much better choice to just become the best person that you can be. And what ends up happening a lot of the time is when you become the best person that you can be, women or people end up wanting to vibe or, be around your energy, and you'll get more chances to go out with women and date and things of that nature. And you don't have to be so filled with animosity and wanting to come home and find out who the next Kevin Samuels or manosphere content creator is going to be on the YouTube spaces that you occupy so viciously and virally, right? You'll be more composed and you'll be more happy in real life offline, if you take what Kevin Samuels' original message was and apply that to your life, the unpopular opinion that we watched in the last live stream, you'd be in a lot better position if you applied that to your life versus trying to make women understand why they're so evil. You know what I mean? That light is bright. I thought I was ready for that light. I'm definitely not ready for the light. You'd be in a much better chance. Aim for the moon, you land on the stars type of deal. But that's another issue with the question already being presented of, well, who's going to replace Kevin? Why do you need somebody to replace Kevin so badly, so quickly? Give a bit of time to grieve before you start asking who's going to replace the man, at least, right? Jesus, give a bit of time to grieve. For the family, let Kevin's message air out. Let Kevin's message breathe. Go back and maybe if you're a Kevin Samuels fan, go watch some of those messages. But for you to automatically be looking for the next fix lets me know that it's more of an addiction for you versus you actually wanting to build some sort of sustainable ability, some sort of sustainable growth in your own life, right? Growth in your own life, right? That's another big issue or another big problem I think I have, or another big thing that I think I saw as far as the Kevin Samuels, who's gonna replace Kevin. It's like, guys, I'm not saying what more do you want Kevin to say. I'm not saying that at all, but Kevin was even transitioning into doing different things. He wasn't, I don't know how often he was going live, but I don't know if he was live streaming less. I know he was doing more acting things, more acting roles. He was starting to have other different types of stuff. I'll open up the Zoom here in a second too. I know we got people. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Somebody donated $5 in the super chat. Petra D. Terrat, I appreciate that, Petra D. Terrat, for your $5 super chat. Thank you. But even Kevin was starting to transition out of the YouTube streaming as much as he used to. Let me go ahead and take a look at his actual channel just before I'm, talking on it. I did notice this, y'all, and this was really interesting to me. When I typed in Kevin Samuels on YouTube, check this out. When you type in Kevin Samuels, it doesn't pop up his channel anymore. His channel's not actually on the search engines. When you type it in, everybody else actually pops up. And you got to scroll down. There's us right here, but you got to scroll down considerably until you end up finding one of Kevin's videos. So I'm not sure if behind the scenes the family has decided that they are, trying to work out what's, going to happen with the channel, or if they're trying to split things or split profits or whatever it might be, or I'm not split profits, but figure out where they want to, to consolidate and get everything. Y'all have to understand there's a lot of attention and a lot of resources being poured and being pulled from Kevin's channel. So they're probably trying to figure everything out right now, but it looks like they have just straight up unlisted it from the YouTube streets. And I'm still not actually seeing it here. There it is right here. So we just got to it. You got to scroll down quite a bit. So 7 days ago, 5 days ago. No, so, okay. He was streaming really. Okay, no, these are the short videos. Okay, these are the short videos. Let's go ahead and look at his platform, his channel here. So streamed 7 days ago, streamed 10 days ago, okay. Streamed 2 weeks, streamed 12 weeks. No, he was still streaming a lot. Okay, he was definitely still streaming a lot for sure. He was definitely still streaming a lot. So, and let's be honest here, okay. Every time I watch Kevin's message, I'm just gonna be honest. For the most part, the message it doesn't stir off or break off the beaten path too aggressively. It's that you need to, as a woman, understand what guys want, lower your standards, go to therapy, etc., right? This isn't rocket science at this point, right? Not to mention that the catalog that Kevin has is probably so freaking large and like it'd probably take you so much time to watch it, but then again, I don't know, because I know that people do go through content, but Kevin has a huge catalog of content, and he has a lot of stuff to watch. But I think that, and I've even seen the comments from guys that have said, hey, I don't watch Kevin anymore because he's just a bit repetitive, in my opinion. Sorry. But I still support. So there's a lot of guys that maybe didn't watch it as often, but every once in a while they come through to support and donate because they want the new people to see Kevin, to realize that, hey, there's a guy over here that understands how we feel as men, that understands what it is to be a black man, that understands just how bad it can, how hard it can be, how bad it can be to date as a black man, and how bad, you know. So there were guys that were willing to, even if they don't even support, they'll just drop money because they're like, listen, I believe in the message, right? Which is why they're asking the question of, hey, well, who's gonna do it now? Because we still need this message to get out there. We still need this message to go forward, and this message is still important. Right, this message, we still need for women to be held accountable online. That's still important to us. We gotta have that. We need to have. Now, once again, going back to it, this is somewhat of an addiction, and then this is somewhat of a call for, not for help, but it's somewhat of a call or a decree, if you want. Right. What was I saying? I was gonna say something. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. I cannot remember it all. I cannot remember it all. Dang it. I can never remember what I was going to say. But kind of getting back to this thing, right? Getting back to this thing. Let me go back to the notes here. Let me exit this. Give me 1 second. Shout out to everybody that just now joined. Make sure you like the video. Okay, here we go. Now, let me say this about Kevin, okay? And I think this is why a lot of guys do like Kevin, because they were able to see a guy who maybe was them at one point. I know that Kevin had been through 2 marriages. I know that he was educated. So a lot of the guys who feel like the women in the black community, or the women in America, period, who don't like the good guys, because it's not just in the black community where the nerd doesn't get the woman. It's in every white Hollywood movie too. But the women who maybe passed them up was being represented in Kevin by going online and, doing his thing. Freaking, this is Sparta! To all the women that were on the thing, pretty much, right? Like Spartan kicking them, and Spartan kicking sense and accountability into them and things of that nature. And so they saw Kevin, this guy that essentially transformed himself into this Don type of character. He even called himself the Godfather. They saw this guy level up, and they loved to see it. That's why they love to donate and participate in it. They saw a piece of Kevin and what they couldn't be, what they couldn't do, what they couldn't say in Kevin while they were saying it. So a lot of guys were living their life vicariously through Kevin, as people do with content creators, but especially with Kevin, because Kevin was able to be that person, and once again, that mouthpiece that they could never be or have with the woman that they so desired. But keep in mind, Kevin also made, based off of the message that he knew that they would eat up and, grow to the million, to the count of millions, he made himself that high value Don type of person that would eventually have no problem getting those women that those guys complained about, that those guys signed up for OnlyFans subscriptions on, that those guys stalk on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and wish that they could be inside of their beds with at night, right? Those same guys, girls or women, are the women that Kevin Samuels had. Right, that's the woman that allegedly he was found with. Right, the thick, overweight Instagram model. I don't know. Right, allegedly, whatever you believe or perceive beauty to be, but. It was from my understanding that she was on the thicker side, which would lend her to be overweight. But Kevin was able to transform himself into this guy. So a lot of guys are saying, man, with Kevin, being gone now, that hits them hard, and they're really feeling that in their feels. And that's where, our last live streams, you heard a lot of guys saying, man, I'm really hurt right now. I'm really this, I'm really that. They even admitted that in a lot of cases, Kevin wasn't the nicest. Kevin wasn't the most whatever, or this, that, but they were still extremely hurt. Well, why, if you have, as a person, why would you be hurt by something or somebody, or the loss of something or somebody? Well, you're hurt by it because you care about it. Well, what makes you care about something or care about other people? What makes us care about things is the desire to either be or love or be around, protect, cherish. But what it is more importantly is the identifying traits or characteristics that we see inside of that person that we have inside of us. For instance, family. We have the same identifying traits and characteristics within our blood blood is supposed to be thicker than water. In a lot of cases, unfortunately, it's not, and that's just a travesty. But with our family, one of the things that builds really close bonds between mother, father, son, daughter, and things of that nature is that even if you look at your child or you look at something that you created, it resembles you. And that resemblance that you have with that thing ties you so nearly and dearly to it that as that resemblance grows and you start to recognize that resemblance and start to see different qualities that you've been living and trying to instill in this little physical resemblance that you've manifested with the opposite sex, or that you have adopted with the same sex, or however you decided to parent your child or children in your life, eventually that bond grows even deeper because you start seeing the resemblance that pairs up with the actions that you desire within the creation or within the entity that you so draw closer near to you, like a family member, right? So a lot of these guys felt the actions and they felt the desires of what they wanted their actions, their own conversations, or what they wanted the actions of their own opinions to be, right? They felt that, and they were able to see that through Kevin. They were able to see themselves in Kevin, and then when they lost Kevin, it was like they lost a piece of themselves, right? And so it's no different from you liking a favorite actor, or maybe you don't necessarily self-identify with that actor as much, but this is why it was such a rallying cry, beck and cry for so many black men, to get behind and let the world know how much they really supported Kevin. So I needed to say that and make that point clear there. But Kevin went from 0 to 150 miles per hour, y'all, on YouTube in like less than 6 months. It's probably closer to 3 or 4 months. Once he decided that, you know what, this is the strategy. I already know what time it is. I can go ahead and head this home. Once he figured out the formula, there was no stopping it. I want to say this. I heard a YouTuber talking and attributing, once again, another YouTuber attributing Kevin Samuels' work ethic and work habit to being something that contributed to his passing. I've heard multiple people say this at this point, and it was actually Dennis Sperling, one of his close companions. Once again, the guy who is a YouTuber and has been in the manosphere for a long time. He's actually an attorney in real life, and I believe he is married. I'll go ahead and find Dennis Sperling's YouTube channel for you, but he actually agreed and did back up with the concept, or with the idea or the identity that, you know what, Kevin was overworking himself. He said that in this video here. Now, we're not going to be able to find that clip, but all throughout this, he explained on what he felt. And let's listen to this for a second.
The stuff that guys typically do in the locker room to, put another guy, to try to use shaming tactics on another guy. All of that failed. And again, those same men who began to come and attack Kevin Samuels did what? His truth prevailed. And then what? They began to be a follower of Kevin Samuels. And what you can see.
So he goes on to, and this is a long video, so we're not going to be able to play really any of that, but he goes on to explain that, and maybe it wasn't him, but I'm pretty sure it was him, but I've heard this on multiple channels now, that Kevin was like a workaholic. He was getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep per night. He was doing this, he was doing that. Like, dude was grinding outrageously. Nuts. Kevin was grinding crazy, right? Like unreal levels. That's why he always had the Red Bulls. That's why he always had the Red Bulls on the live stream, because he was grinding so hard. Once Kevin knew and he saw that the formula of bashing women essentially online was a way to get rich, Kevin got rich in months on YouTube. People don't get rich like that, y'all. That's not normal. That's not normal at all. But once again, that lets you know the climate of the dating scene, or the gender war, if you will, metaphorical gender war in America right now, right? So people acknowledge that, this dude was going, doing a lot. He wasn't, maybe necessarily taking as much time to look after the care, or having different private care facilities take care of him, or maybe do certain checkups. Like, once you get to that age, the 50s, as much as guys in the manosphere, as much as, Kevin liked to talk about the wall and things of that nature, it does men a disservice. If you're just going to call yourself a manosphere guy, it does men a disservice by not telling guys at age 37 or 38 that you need to get a colonoscopy. That does guys a disservice by not telling them at age 45. And this is something that Coach Greg Adams said right here. This is not my original thought, but Coach Greg Adams said, hey, it does no service. This is why we're having an issue with some of the divestors right now, because as much as you want to say that you're about men, and as much as your supporters want to say that they're about women or black women, or that they're about, as much as the Kevin Samuel supporters say that they're about black men, for the most part, you're not rallying around the things that are really serious, like life, right? Like making yourself the high value man, right? Which is why Kevin couldn't pop off trying to make guys a high value man, right? Though there's no beckoning rally or wartime cry or beacon cry for those types of messages, right? We have the beaconing or the rally cry for the online accountability, but not for those messages right there. Okay. But once again, I just wanted to say that, yeah, Kevin was hustling, right? Straight up hustling. Quite simply put, let me say this just to answer y'all's question, because for the guys that came genuinely trying to wonder who's going to be the next Kevin Samuels, there's not going to be another Kevin Samuels, because with anything in life, once somebody does things in one way, to be as good as that person or to do things that same way, it would take a certain mastery of a certain level that to duplicate something completely and not get shamed or not get criticized for it, that's not going to happen, especially not in the black community. You're going to get called a Kevin Samuels. I get called Derek Jackson. I was getting called Kevin Samuels for a little bit. Kevin Samuels wannabe. I was like, how is that even possible? I was getting called all kinds of stuff, right? I got called Kevin Samuels wannabe, Derek Jackson. I got called, well, really that was it, to be honest with you. But if somebody tries to come through, and there are a lot of guys right now who are plotting, who are, saying like, man, hey, I want to be that next guy. I'm going to start trying to do the whole Kevin Samuels vibe and this and that. It's not going to work. It'll never work out in that way, because it's going to be very clear and evident and obvious that you're simply trying to recreate what was already done. Our brains are hardwired to pick up on patterns, which is why they call us creatures of habit, or some people are creatures of habit. We're hardwired to pick up on patterns, rhythms, and things of that nature. But it's hardwired and patterns that we're familiar with. If we're not familiar with that hardwired pattern, what happens is something that's called uncanny valley. Don't Google that, especially if you have a hard time sleeping at night. Do not Google that term. I'll break it down for you, because you're going to see some very frightening and disturbing images. So do not Google uncanny valley. Trust me on that one. But what uncanny valley is it's a sensation of seeing something that's not right, or completely right, and it gives you a very off effect. For instance, if I was to have a picture of a teddy bear, right? A picture of a teddy bear, but the teddy bear, I put like a full rack of teeth, like human teeth inside the mouth of a teddy bear. It's a very disturbing look. It doesn't look right for some reason. Now, you would think that a rack of teeth inside of a teddy bear, this is really random, Jonathan. What are you talking about? Well, it's the uncanny valley effect. And because we expect a certain mouth on this teddy bear, we've seen it so many times. When you see a teddy bear teething like this, it throws you off, and it's a very uncomforting and unsettling feeling, right? Well, the same thing happens when somebody tries to bite somebody's style, as they say in rap or hip hop or the black community, or copy your swag, or they're trying to this or they're trying to do that. We already have people that are, the content creators are stealing my content. That happens all the time, in this particular portion on YouTube. Everybody's stealing everybody's content. Nobody's making their own original content. Even the words I just said right there, I stole that content from saying that's, whoever made that, the content thieves stuff, right? So there's already a big issue with that. But I will say this, because the message of Kevin Samuels is still so viscerally wanted and needed by a lot of guys, I think that there will be guys who will come up and will be able to at least placate, or definitely have some type of message that, reverberates some of the tips that Kevin Samuels had, and they'll be able to incorporate that a bit into their message, and they'll be able to profit, or at least, gain some movement and traction off of that. They'll build definitely off of the loss of Kevin Samuels, because you have to think about it. This is millions of people now that are still going to be, or at least hundreds of thousands that are going to be actively looking for more content to consume and more content to take in. So yeah, there will be people that have a definite growth or booth and spikes, but nobody's going to replace Kevin. There's going to be nobody to replace Kevin. Not in that way per se. Okay. And if somebody does come along, it's not going to be the same type of thing. Going back to Kevin from a 0 to very rich really quickly, right? 0 to very rich really quickly. It's something that and I don't want to say hero, because he didn't, not even Kevin classified not as what I think to be himself to be a hero. He considered himself to be Gordon Ramsay, or he likened himself to Chef Gordon Ramsay. If you don't know who Gordon Ramsay is, and this is not Gordon Ramsay here, I'm just playing some clips, but Gordon Ramsay is a chef on Hell's Kitchen who is very stern, extremely rude, tells people to get the F off, right? I would show some Gordon Ramsay clips, but the way that these copyright situations are worked out on YouTube, I can't do any of that right now, right? Like the copyright thing where they blocked the video, which is why the last live stream wasn't up. And took so long. That whole situation was crazy. Like, it took forever to edit the video, so I have to be careful with showing video footage at this point. So I'm gonna have to test some things out on other channels before I go through doing that. But he compared himself to Gordon Ramsay. Kevin was really frustrated in a lot of cases as to why people didn't accept or understand his stern methodology of teaching, his stern methodology of holding women accountable. Kevin had a very tough issue or big problem from what was told by people that knew him from the live streams I'm watching. I'm not just saying this just to say this, y'all, okay? I wouldn't say that about just to say that. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I'm looking at the Motorola thing in the middle, but the camera's actually at the top right, so I'm sorry. But I wouldn't just say that just to say that. Like, he was saying that Kevin, he was just going hard, and people were saying that, Kevin just, he wanted people to accept him and his harsh critique for the truths that it was, and that it just needed to be said, right? When in reality, right? But we already know that, but that's not here nor there. But I was saying that because I don't want to say from zero to hero, because I feel like Kevin didn't want to be seen as the hero in that case. He just wanted to be respected, and he wanted people to understand that what he was saying was right and was factual, right? He didn't give a right how you felt, and he was clear to effectively communicate with that with you as well, and which is why you see some of the other live streams we have of him doing certain, erroneous middle fingers to women and cursing women out, and maybe doing things that, I guess guys would say that they deserved because they had an attitude, and things of that nature, right? This is what a lot of the guys said, that these women deserved that because they had an attitude. But you have to keep in mind that there are tons of guys, right, that felt like what he did is the right thing. So they do consider himself to be a hero, but I don't think Kevin would say or give himself that title. But having said that, let me give this to you as well. I said that to bring you to this next point, right? Kevin wanted you to know that he was in the business of not giving a fuck what you thought about his business, right? Kevin does not care. He always said facts don't care about your feelings. Kevin didn't give a flying F about people's feelings, which is why I don't call him a zero to hero transformation. He just went from zero to, balling, right? He didn't care. He knew it would work, and he did it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until it made him rich, until it made him wealthy. That's actually what Steve Harvey has an Instagram video saying to do. Just do how to become a millionaire. Well, find something that makes you $10 and do it 10 times. You have $100, and you all have seen the video, I'm sure, right? Well, that's what Kevin did in this particular instance, right? Now, this leads me to my next question. So let me just read this before I actually want to say this really quickly. I might read some of y'all's comments. I'll open up the Zoom. Let me see if I still have Zoom. Do I still have Zoom? I'm going to open up Zoom or attempt to open up Zoom. If you want to hop on and say anything, you can hop on if you'd like to. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure that you like the video so I can buy a new external computer or keyboard. So start virtual camera. There we go. All right, the virtual camera is up. We are in Zoom. I think they gave me 40 free minutes, it said. We get 40 free minutes in Zoom, so we're going to make the best use of it. Copy invitation link. Let me try and remember the sequential series. ZTTTUP. ZTTTUP. And the TT and P are capitalized. So here we go. Oh, jeez. Password. ZTT capitalized. I think it's two. Oh man, dude. Is it 2P? It's TU. It's TPP 2PC UPC ZTT UPC 2 capital PC. I'm going with 2PC. It's TUP. Dang, man. That was so hard. All right. Well, I tried, y'all. To join the panel. There it is right there. I want to thank our moderators for being in the chat, for always, supporting. It's a late night. I know the stream's starting a lot later. I'm sorry about that. We're going to wrap it up soon, though. And I'm going to have the streams legitimately from now on. I'm going to have the stream starting at 9 o'clock. I'm just a night person, yo. I'm just a night owl. And you know what else it is, too? The people who originally started really like watching our stream from the get-go, they're people who work overnight. And so y'all don't know, but we originally started doing our streams like from 9 to like freaking 3 o'clock in the morning type stuff. You know what I mean? Glam, and if you're in Zoom, just end up saying something. Look at that. Glam Gal says this. Kevin was a very vile man, and the men who support him are very problematic. Hands with Golden Dove said law of compound interest, okay? Stephanie Murray says not checking number. I don't know what she means there. Kim Banks says the problem is his facts were not indeed facts. They were opinions, right? But they were treated as facts. They were treated like the word of God. I kid you not. There are people, and you saw in the last live stream, right, where we talked to the guy who, he was obviously being satirical with saying Kevin Samuels was a god and he was put on earth. But you just saw a video a couple minutes ago of an Asian guy saying the same types of things. Like it's almost a meme at this point that they try and say, oh, Kevin is the best thing to happen. Kevin, if I had my choice between Kevin or my mom, I would just pick Kevin. Like it's almost like a running joke at this point. And I think they understand it, but you also have to keep in mind that it's not a joke to some extent too. You know what I mean? Like that Asian dude was getting ready to, like, he started the video on a satirical point, but the entire video wasn't satirical. Like maybe the first 25 seconds were, but the following 8 minutes afterwards were going to be very seriously toned as to why Kevin Samuels is needed, right? From his Asian perspective, right? Once again, this is what happened from the women that we obviously know the message is geared and driven towards. What happened on that channel spread to all communities all around the world, right? Something to keep in mind. I'm not looking at the camera, so I know it might look weird, but I'm trying to look at the camera. So I'm streaming from I'm streaming from my phone, right? But it's dope because here's why. I'll just be honest with y'all. Streaming from your phone is 10 times better from streaming from a camera, like 1,000,000 times better. So what I'm getting ready to do, I'm getting ready to get the new iPhone 13. Because that camera is like a cinema level camera. It is nuts, right? So I'm getting ready to stream on that bad boy. And instead of buying a $1,700 full frame Sony A7R, right? I was like, why don't I just get a badass phone, an iPhone, go ahead and make the switch and get a camera that people literally are shooting Sundance Film Festival shorts on. People are shooting Hollywood level movies on iPhones now. That's how crazy technology's gotten. Anyways, if you're in the Zoom, once again, make sure that you check in. I'll read some more of the comments really quickly here. Glam Gal said that man was raised by his mother and his only child was a daughter. What did he do? It's a good question, Glam Gal. What did he do? What did he go through to make him hate black women, to make him the black women so much, right? What did he go through to make him hate black women so much? I think that that's a question that a lot of people are asking. As a matter of fact, I saw Toni Morrison was asking that on my channel questions. Let me go ahead and read some of the channel comments, because that's not something that we actually do. The comments that are posted on the channel after we get done whatevering them. Let me read some of those comments, because those comments are pretty crazy too. I'll read the ones that are held for review as well. We definitely have comments that are held for review, right? But Toni said that, and I want to bring it up here because I think she actually had something underneath that comment that said something too. See, it's right here. Toni said that, y'all. There is this weird, I don't know. Toni Morrison said big money in bashing black women. Not sure why we're so hated. I thumbs that up. That was 1 day ago. And that's the general consensus. Now, once again, y'all, I need to bear in mind and keep you refreshed on the situation that's going on with another group of women in our space that are very, very, very evil ass women. And we're talking about Cynthia G, Nyla Says, Taz Exclusives, and the women that choose to follow that crew. Well, I want to explain something to you. And I know that a lot of people say that the response from the divestors and the femisphere people and the women's sphere, Jesus, I'm going to get flamed again, is because it's a response of the severe black women hatred online that's been popularized to the tune and to the count of millions of people of all races at this particular moment in time, right? And so now you have women online that choose to take up arms and respond accordingly to their own message, even though it means certain black women end up going down with the ship along with the black males. Those black women don't care at the end of the day, just like a lot of the black males who claim that black men are so afflicted but are still out there killing niggas in the streets 24/7, right? It's that same level of hypocrisy on both sides. And so I do understand and acknowledge that from the most perfect wand-waving utopian type of perspective, that there is a need from the manosphere or from the red pill guys, that there is a need when they say, oh, we have to acknowledge that there are bad women that are out there to get guys and bring down guys financially through bad divorces. I understand that there is a need to say that message as well. I completely get it. We're going through that right now as well, trying to let other women know that there are a group of women out here that are batshit crazy, that are damn near worse than a lot of the men out here. Right? So I get that 100%, but you need to understand that message didn't grow to the tune of 1.44 million subscribers like Kevin Samuels' message did. And so we're still comparing apples to oranges in this particular case. We're still comparing one subscriber like Cynthia G, who has 100,000 ladies who follow her, to Kevin Samuels, who has 1.44 million. Okay? This is no comparison by and large when we're talking about the bashing of the opposite sex online. Now, a lot of guys are claiming that, oh, black women have been talking badly about black men for eons now. For ages, they've been claiming that black men, niggas ain't shit, and that this, and that. And I get that. I might get that all in jest, whatever it might be. Right? If that's the hill that you're going to die on, then by all means, make that the hill that you're going to die on. But as we've already seen, I'm not going to say that. You know what? I'm not going to say that. Maybe in the next live stream, I'll go ahead and use your methodology once again to prove to you why that's ludicrous and why that's asinine. But I'm not going to get into that tonight, okay? We're going to try and stay on topic a bit. Let me get back to these comments because there's a few comments that I wanted to read. Let's read the held for reviewed ones, huh? Let's go ahead and drop some bombs. David Andrew had this to say about me, all right? David Andrew said, agreed, you are not a medical professional, not much of anything, really. Shots fired by David Andrew. And thank you for the moderator that removed the comment. This is why Kevin Samuels was hated video. I kind of, went through to explain what might have happened medically and things of that nature. And I gave a disclaimer that said, hey, I'm not a medical professional, but I think that this might have contributed. And we talked about the Red Bulls and things of that nature. But because he doesn't like me, it doesn't matter what I say at the end of the day, or because you like somebody so much, your favorite content creator, it doesn't matter what they do or say at the end of the day. You love the message. And so whoever's in the way of it better get the hell out of your way, right? Somebody, Dion McLaughlin, said you was jealous of Kevin. You kept his name in your mouth all the time, calling him Scam Man, Scamuels. Well, no, I didn't call him that. I call him Kevin Scamuels. And that's because I knew that at the end of the day, what he said, or what we uncovered him saying in the last live stream, is what he felt. And I'm not going to keep playing the same videos because that kind of takes the authenticity of the stream out. But you know what he said? He said that if I, harass women all day, then I'll end up getting donations and likes. And that's what he said. You know what? We'll just go ahead and play it for the sake of it, because I'm sure that there's at least one person right now watching, right, that didn't watch the last live stream. So we'll just play it really quickly. It's on Miss Elite's channel, right? It's on Miss Elite's channel. And it's just a video of Kevin saying and acknowledging that, he knew that he'd get popular by spinning and by saying a certain message.
A lot of times guys don't want to hear that truth. We just don't. If I come on here talking about, female nature, such and so forth, and if I would start bashing women or talking noise, oh man, the likes and everything will go through the roof. But when you start talking to men saying, guys, cheap is some of the most expensive stuff out there. You gotta do better with.
Now, once again, I'm not referring to, and Kevin Samuels didn't scam per se. He's not actually out there scamming. A scam is when you pay for something and you either don't receive the goods, the items, whatever it might be, right? That's a scam, and there's other scams or whatnot. But I gave it that title, and I called him Samuels because he knew and he knows inherently what he was doing, right? And that is he was essentially, it was a business. It was just business moves, right? The image that he was portraying to a certain extent was not what was really going on, right? But this is something that we've always said on this channel. We know that these guys who claim that this woman is the size of a refrigerator and that she's gonna die alone and this and that. We already know, and we've done the research to show that these are the same guys that would take any drop. They're thirstier than a camel is, a squirrel in the Sahara Desert, right? We already know that women have all the powers when it comes down to dating, and that it doesn't matter what they look like at the end of the day. She'll find somebody that's willing to accept her. But Kevin, once again, had the message of women needing to lower the standards because the problem had gotten so bad that women have been able to up and raise their standards to levels that admittedly might be delusional in some of the women that were on the show. Obviously, I know some of them were delusional. I'm not a fool, right? I get that. But the solution still wasn't given, A. And B, I'm not going to say that. But the fact of the matter is that women did have, and they have been going up and dating options and possibilities. Women can date up, and they do date up. Moreover, because it is supposed to be, and it is natural in my opinion, it is good to be hypergamous. And once again, it goes back to the entire message of asking, well, where's the next Kevin Samuels? Well, you're asking the wrong question. The right question should be, when am I going to become the high value man? When am I going to be that guy like Kevin Samuels? When am I going to be that guy that balls out like, I don't know, your favorite doctor or lawyer or television actor, or I don't know, your favorite person that's in your city that's the baller, or whoever that guy that has that favorite car in your city? When are you going to become that person is the bigger question. Because if you're already watching Kevin, then you know what the message is. The message is not going to fundamentally change that much at this point. Now, you might classify this or deem this as some kind of, it's kind of like going to church, where every week you go to church and you have, the fellowship and the communion with your people and this and that and all these different types of things. And so maybe from that perspective, I can understand wanting to have Kevin Samuels or another Kevin Samuels type of channel or figure be allocated to you or given to you or opened or have the possibility to have that type of discussion going forward, because the community that it gives you, right, is something that you can't replace. And so I get that from that perspective, or that from that aspect. But in the same breath, what's stopping you, right? What's stopping you? Now, I'm not going to take anything away, and I don't take anything away from Kevin. He was extremely talented, and he was extremely good at what he did, right? He was extremely smart as far as the business acumen goes, in my opinion. And when I listened to, and as much studying and as much, introspective looking into the relationships and the situations that we've had over the past, because you have to understand, I made these videos in 2020 talking about Kevin Samuels. Now at this point, we're going on a year and a half and 2 years coming up in December, right? And so you have to understand that when I look at and when I assess all the different conversations and the hours upon hours and upon hours upon hours of Kevin Samuels content, it's pretty clear to me that his message it has been effectively shared. What the message that he had has been effectively shared and put out to the mainstream markets. And for any guy at this point that's saying, oh, we need a Kevin Samuels, that's a really clear sign to me that that's really saying I need more guidance in my life as a man, because I have not yet accepted what it is to either make myself this high value guy that I was faking out to be in the live chat with 20,000 other people, or it says that I'm just not ready yet to truly move on from the content of bashing women online. So it's either one of those two things. And hey, you can be a person that earns a good amount of money and still love the woman bashing content. Moreover, we're probably going to start seeing more of a trend of guys that are like that, who support and there were a good amount of guys who did support the Kevin Samuels rhetoric and thought pattern and this and that, but still didn't want to get married and followed the Coach Greg Adams train of thought and thinking and this and that. So when I also speak about the Kevin Samuels thing to a certain extent, it is scammy in my opinion, because it's kind of like you're trying to tell them how to get the women, but most of the guys, or a lot of the guys, don't even want to be married, but you're not married either type of deal, right? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let me read some of the comments really quick and just make sure I didn't miss anything. Right, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Hey, make sure you like the video. Make sure that you check out the other live streams and the other videos that we have. Listen, we're going to get back to normally scheduled programming. We're going to be getting back to Divest as well. That's going to piss some people off. But listen, we're going to get back to Divest because there's a lot more that needs to happen. There's just been so much going on, in this thing that's been so crazy that, we had to take time to cover this. There's been way a lot going on, so we had to take the appropriate time to cover this. And I wanted to make sure that we, from front to back, finish the situation in the appropriate manner. So I might even do one more stream in the future, or probably a few more streams in the future, as more information on this Kevin Samuels situation becomes, becomes available for us, because it's still a really, really, really big thing, and it's still going to be very important to monitor and to actually follow along with the, with the development of whether or not somebody actually comes through and becomes the next one, whether or not. It's going to be interesting to see how people react in their offline worlds. It's going to be interesting to see the conversations that are starting to be had of whether there is more of a focus on health. It's just going to be interesting to see how people react. I think this hit a lot of people, and it made a lot of guys out there and a lot of people out there think about, their own fragility. It made them think about their own volatility. It made them think about their lives, right? And just how fleeting and how quick things can change. And it makes you realize what's really important in life, right? What does it mean if you gain the world, but you lose your soul? You know what I mean? And I'm not applying that to Kevin, but I'm just trying to say that at the end of the day, when you do look back on things, if you're lucky enough to have the time to look back on things and, from a bird's eye view and, to really think as a man of whether or not you did or made the right choices, you're going to look back and think on the things that made you a better person, the people that you surrounded yourself with, the relationships that you had, the money, being a high value type of person, all that. It's all fine and dandy. Trust me, it really is. It is. While we're here, we should be trying to be the best and live the best that we can. But you need to understand that this is much deeper than rap, right? Much deeper than rap, no pun intended. And I say this all the time, and I'll continue to say this again. You get one chance to dance. I got a comment the other day. We were talking about dogs and stuff like that. And, I said something, I said something along the lines of, oh, it's not really even related, so I'm not going to mention that right now. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hey, listen, go do something interesting tomorrow. Second Amendment, make sure you think about Second Amendment. Dogs, think about dogs. Don't buy a pet, buy something. Go to the adoption center and adopt something. I want to thank everybody that donated and super chatted tonight. Hey, if you support the channel, if you like, and if you donate, if you believe in the channel, then donate to the channel. If you do, then that goes directly towards me streaming more often with longer live streams. For instance, if there were more people that donated tonight, then we'd be streaming a little bit longer. But since there's not as much, and I know it's probably a little bit late anyways, then we're going to go ahead and cut this off right now. But go ahead and donate to the channel. I appreciate everybody that did donate. And for the Cash App people that donate offline, because I did get a couple, I want to thank you for doing that as well, right? But going forward, the takeaway message from this, the earth will continue to spin, and it's going to be interesting to see how those within that sphere continue to spin with it. And I know that a lot of people are hurting. I know that a lot of the family members are hurting right now, right? But even amongst the hurt, progression and time does not stop. So even amongst this, it's a lesson to be learned where it's like, man, you still got to go forward and move on, and you still got to press on and still got to do things that as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a human being is going to ensure the best chances for your, not just survival, but, infinite success if you are trying to become that high value person. Once again, so this has been Jonathan Truth Seekers, email me, thehonestTruthYT@gmail.com. I'll see y'all tomorrow because we will be live streaming. If we don't have, it all depends on the length of the stream and the support, but I appreciate the support. But I will see y'all again tomorrow because we've gotten a lot of support this week. And there's still a lot to talk about. Divest, some more Kevin Samuels, but we're getting back to Divest. We're not done with Cynthia and Nyla. Cynthia and Nyla might have thought that they lucked out because Kevin passed while this entire thing was going down. Nah. I haven't forgotten about that either, right? And there's a lot more coming. You better believe it. A lot more coming. I love you all, and I'll see you in the very near future. Good night.